Hello student, this is Dr. Faizan Mirza. I'm discussing with you what happens in photosynthesis. Basically, we know photosynthesis is a two-step reaction. There's a light-dependent stage, there's a light-independent stage. The light-dependent stage needs light energy. Light energy, we'll never use the term light alone, we'll use the term light energy. So light energy falls on the thylakoid membrane. We have the reaction center there, we have the photosystem there. So what happens in the light-independent reaction, which occurs on grana or the thylakoid membrane? Water gets split. When water gets split, oxygen is produced and oxygen is released in photosynthesis. We all know that that's some fact that you learned at a very tender age, that plants release oxygen. So this oxygen goes out through the stomata and we inhale that. Probably you're inhaling the same oxygen at the same time as well. So yeah, that's the light reaction occurring for you and giving you the oxygen so you can inhale. Going further, so this light reaction will end up producing two hydrogens and ATP as well. And basically, the hydrogen actually are there in the form of reduced NADP, and ATP is produced as well. And this leads us to the light independent stage. The light independent stage actually is having several enzymatically controlled reactions where carbon dioxide is basically reduced into a carbohydrate. So this occurs in stroma. If we try to figure out what's happening here, so light energy is consumed inside the chloroplast to just cause photolysis of water. This photolysis of water produces oxygen goes out, and the H ions, the H plus ions actually end up forming reduced NADP, and ATP is produced as well. Reduced NADP and ATP both are delivered to the stroma. Actually, they are produced in stroma only. So they from the stroma where they actually are already in stroma. So in stroma they will be used up, and they will be used to convert carbon dioxide into triose phosphate. As triose phosphate is produced, triose phosphate is the major sugar which is produced in photosynthesis, and this is the triose phosphate sugar which will be turned into other sugars, other compounds, other carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids, and amino acids, and anything that cellulose or lipids that the plant would need. To make carbon dioxide turn into triose phosphate, the energy from ATP is utilized and reduced NADP are oxidized. So this reaction of which is occurring, the light independent reaction, which is consuming carbon dioxide and turning it to triose phosphate, it's a very important reaction because this not only provides you with triose phosphate, but it also ends up recycling the reduced NADP. The recycled reduced NADP is getting oxidized, and this oxidized NADP is then going back to the grana, so that for the next light dependent reaction, when the water gets split, it again picks up hydrogen and gets reduced and delivers the reducing power of that hydrogen to the next Calvin cycle. Triose phosphate which is produced here, using different ions and energy, it can be converted to any kind of carbohydrate, protein, amino acids, enzymes, vitamins, hormones, cellulose. Anything can be made out of it. So yeah, this is what I have already covered with you. So what you need to keep in mind here, oxidized and hydrolyzed, we know this means oxidized, this means hydrolyzed. Triose phosphate is the major sugar which is produced. Already covered. I've covered this point with you that in Calvin cycle there's a major sugar being produced, and when this sugar has been produced, this basically gets converted into other compounds. It's also abbreviated as TP, and TP is actually then turned into different sugars, different biological molecules which are then required for the growth or the benefit of that plant. For example, glucose, fructose, starch, cellulose, or even nucleotides, or ammonia, or amino acids, not ammonia, amino acids. Yes, amino acids, not ammonia, and lipids. So where do nitrate ions come from? Because the plant would need nitrogen to make amino acids or to make new nitrogenous bases. So that comes in the form of nitrate ions from the soil. The root hair cells absorb nitrate ions and they deliver the nitrogen from the nitrate ions to the chloroplast, and the chloroplast would then in turn produce amino acids and nucleotides. These are the compounds, or even ATP, which makes use up of nitrogen, and we know that nitrogen was nowhere being produced or used up in photosynthesis direct reactions. So what's happening here? This basically just actually sums up what I have just discussed with you, that photosynthesis, this is the reaction of photosynthesis. 6 CO2 plus 6 water molecules using light energy and chlorophyll turns into C6H12O6 and 6O2. This reaction occurs in two stages. There is a light dependent reaction, the light independent reaction. The fact that you need to keep in mind regarding the light dependent reaction is that it occurs on the thylakoid membrane or grana. The light energy is trapped by chlorophyll in PS1 and PS2 of grana. Hydrolysis occurs where water is split into H and oxygen is released. ATP is produced by process of cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, which I am yet to cover, and NADP is reduced as well. ATP and reduced NADP are there in the stroma already because they are produced in stroma. They do not really enter the stroma. They already are in the stroma. So yeah, and from there they are used up in the light independent reaction where carbon dioxide is fixed into glucose. Yeah, first triphosphate and then glucose. And it uses the reducing power of reduced NADP and ATP. And a very important enzyme, Rubisco, is used for this process where carbon dioxide fixing actually carbon dioxide is fixed into sugars. The light independent reaction, which is occurring through the Calvin cycle, occurs in the stroma. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.